Assalamu alaikum. You know what? Let me even give the halaf. This video is serious. These are my brutally honest advices to my broke, younger Muslim self. I was so broke, I needed help. You might be the same watching this video and you actually need help. In this video, I'll give you advices that won't make you feel better, but they'll make your life better. So put your ego to the side for a second and lock in. And the first point is that life isn't equal. And even in Islam, we know this because we are judged based on the opportunities that we had and what we made out of them, not what we accomplished so far in our lives. Otherwise, someone that was very lucky and comes from a very wealthy background and gave a lot of money, whereas someone who was poor and didn't have the money to give to other people couldn't really achieve anything, right? So life is fair, but it's not equal. And the lesson to learn here is that we are all dealt different cards when you're born. You have this country, this family, this background, and you don't really have a choice and a say on what those cards are, but what you have a say on is how you play the game. And instead of making excuses and contemplating your cards and keep saying, oh, I have these bad cards and I have this family and this is not easy for me and this guy has it easier than me. Instead, what you can do is say, look, this is what I have. I'll make the most out of what I have and I'll figure things out. And you have so many stories from people who pulled off the underdog story, going from nothing to actually becoming successful. And they were so successful because instead of making excuses, they said, look, these guys have different cards. I have different cards. I won't look at what they have. I won't make excuses. I thank Allah for the cards that I was given and I'll just figure things out with what I have. I'll play the game with the cards that were dealt to me. Point number 2, confidence comes from evidence, comes from you achieving so many things that Allah Mabarak prove that you are someone worthy of having confidence. If you currently feel like you're not confident, people look at you a certain way, you don't really have your own thing, your own spine, I'm sorry to break it down to you, it's normal. This is a normal reaction from your body because you don't have any evidence that would give you that confidence. What do you want to be confident for? Where do you think it would come from? And to prove a point, let me just ask you this. If we added $1 million to your bank account, 60 hizbs worth of Quranic learning to your memory, and also gave you a six-pack, would you really think you still wouldn't be confident? Or do you think you'd feel better? If you have evidence, you are successful at business, you learn the Quran by heart, and you're physically in shape, you'll feel more confident. Would you really still not feel confident? Or would you start to feel a little better? And this doesn't come from what you have inside. It doesn't come from emotions or what people say about you. It comes from the evidence that you have. Because people can always talk you down, but they can never argue against evidence. If you're rich, you're rich. If you have it, you have it. You can't argue about that. If you're in shape, you're in shape. No one can argue about that. And this is what gives you unshakable confidence. Point number 3, and this is a big one. If you keep making dua to Allah Azza wa Jal to help you, but you still haven't achieved the things you were looking for. And this is because you're not taking the opportunities that you're begging Allah Azza wa Jal for. You keep asking Allah Azza wa Jal for a certain thing. He opens the door for you to go through it, but you just stay at the door. Because you think that by making dua to achieve a certain thing, Allah Azza wa Jal is just going to give it to you. Oh Allah, allow me to get married young. And then you just wait. Have you asked people around you? Have you asked the uncles at the masjid? Have you asked your aunties to go look around? Have you tried? You make dua to Allah to help you start a business. Have you bought courses? My link in the description. Have you tried to actually do something? Most of the time, not. You're just making dua and then Allah gives you opportunities. I'm literally making this video advertising a course that works. Here are a bunch of results of people making money. And you're still gonna miss out on this. This is literally an opportunity of you potentially changing your life with something that actually works and has been proven by hundreds of people. You're still gonna walk by and say, oh, maybe another time. Oh yeah, maybe this doesn't make sense. And this is literally you walking out of opportunities where Allah is potentially literally showing you. He literally opens the door and you stay at the door. You're like, nah, I'll wait next time. And then you keep doing this until you dig yourself deeper in the hole that you're currently in. You don't need a drawing, link in description, I'll catch you on the other side. You didn't catch this one, it was slick. Anyway, point number 4, your surroundings bring you down, and most of the time without even knowing it. This is a very common scenario I see with young Muslims trying to start a business and they have a family that supports them but realistically just brings them down. They want to keep them comfortable, and I don't blame them. That's actually the role of your parents and your families, to keep you comfortable and keep you safe. But most of the time this becomes detrimental. They tend to just overdo it and overprotect you. Oh, this is risky and don't do this and don't do that. And of course, by all means, I'm not saying disobey to your parents. You need to understand that we are in a new age. We are in a new era where you have to do things by yourself, and they're not used to this. I mean, 5 years ago, ChatGPT didn't exist. How do you expect them to understand how online business works? They're from like 25 years ago, and I don't blame them. Even my parents didn't understand when I started a business. They were like, what this guy is doing? And then I had to sit them down, explain them, and I didn't even do this until I had money in the bank. Otherwise, I was cooked. They don't want none of that make money online thing. They're like, have a degree, be a nice guy, and that's it. I told them I want to run an influencer marketing agency. I can tell you they looked at me twice. They were like, what is this guy talking about? Then I showed them my bank statements, and Allah Barik, they were like, is this legal? Now the story is funny, I'll keep it for another day, but the thing here that you need to understand is that your family wants you good, but sometimes they just don't really know what's actually good for you. So what they think is good for you might not be the thing that's actually good for you. And I can tell you right now, if you're watching this video, the thing that's most likely good for you is for you to start doing something with your life. It's for you to actively start a business or actively learn how to make money online. I have a bunch of other videos teaching you exactly how to do that. You can watch it after this video and actually take action. And that leads me to my point number 5, which is that money solves 99% of problems. You can say money doesn't buy happiness. Yes, be my guest. We can watch ourselves and say, oh, money doesn't buy happiness. Let's stay broke. Hedge costs 10 grand. Per person. If you got a 4-family person, that's 40 grand. Making hijrah costs thousands of dollars. This is real money. How do you expect to achieve all these things if money doesn't buy happiness? I can tell you when you make hijrah, you're pretty happy. I can tell you when you go to hajj, you're pretty happy. How do you buy hajj? With money. And this is the biggest lie that somehow the kuffar made us buy it, which is that money doesn't buy happiness. Money is very simple. And if you have concerns about how money works and whatever, let me just clarify it for you. Money is just an amplifier. If you're a good person, you'll be a better person with money. If you're a bad person, you'll be a worse person with money. That's it. There's no money by happiness, no whatever. That's it. And you can start arguing this point and get salty and say, oh, but money is not the thing and you're materialistic. Or you can just understand that the Prophet ﷺ was making dua against poverty. 7 out of 10 Sahaba were the equivalents of millionaire today. And I actually made the research to back this up because so many people make excuses. Abu Bakr Siddiq worth 2 to 5 million thanks to clothing, Allahumma barik. Umar ibn al-Khattab worth 1 to 3 million. Uthman ibn Affan, 3rd Caliph, Allahumma barik, worth $10 million plus. You telling me you don't want to make money as a Muslim? I want to be like the Sahaba, leave me alone. Zubair ibn al-Awam, Allahumma barik, $1 billion plus, owned multiple estates across Medina, Egypt and Iraq, left 35 million dirhams at death, which was a huge sum of money back then, Allahumma barik. And you can say, yeah, for sure, money doesn't buy happiness, money doesn't solve problems, as Muslims shouldn't look for money, or you can just admit that this is actually you just being lazy and complacent and making excuses, and just look at the history and see that the Prophet ﷺ was making dua to not be poor, the Sahaba were wealthy, and that the Sahaba were thriving every single day to achieve from what Allah Azza wa Jal gave them as risk. And I can carry on, or you can just understand that making money and being a Muslim is not a bad thing. It's actually things that go hand in hand. And that leads me to my point number 6, which is that the Ummah needs more doers and less thinkers. A lot of people keep saying, oh, I'll start a business. I'm just learning right now. I'm just getting prepared. I'm just opening the LLC. I'm just figuring things out. When is the time you're actually going to start? Because I can guarantee you, you'll never study your way to success. Imagine a guy that goes to the gym every single day. He just sits down, waits for an hour, and then comes back home. And then again, the next day, sits down for an hour and comes back home. This is the classical guy that's learning his way to becoming successful. He thinks that the more he studies, the more he learns about the thing, the better he'll become. Whereas this is completely false. The more you do, the more you learn. This is how everything works. And there's a saying which is practice makes perfect. I even go crazier and say that practice makes. Just makes, because if you don't practice, you don't get nothing. I see so many people having this endless loop of learning. I'm going to learn, and then I watch the next video and the next video, whereas the actual thing you need to do is to do something. You don't need to do a bit more research. You don't need to read another book. You don't need another YouTube video that's going to explain you everything. All of a sudden, wow, eye-opening. It hasn't happened the past few years. It's not going to happen the next few years unless you start changing what you do, which basically means you start doing stuff. You call the client, you send the email, you buy the course, and you actually start applying the stuff. You do something. And yes, it's going to feel uncomfortable. Yes, it's going to feel weird. So what? You want something that not everyone has, which basically means it's something exceptional because it's an exception. Not everyone has it. And you don't want to do something that's exceptional. You want to do what everyone else does, but you don't want to get the same thing that they get. Or said differently, you want to get something that not a lot of people do have, but you want to do what everyone else does. How does that make sense? And the takeaway here is that you want to bite the bullet or swallow the medication, call that however you want. Basically, stop complaining, stop making excuses, and actually start doing stuff. And I'm not saying this to attack you and make you feel bad. I'm saying this because you genuinely need to hear this. I'm talking to my younger self right now who wasted years not doing anything because he thought he would learn his way to becoming successful. Whereas the actual day I started getting progress was the day I just jumped and I was like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing, but I just figured things out. And then I just kept figuring things out until somehow I ended up on YouTube making videos about how to make money online. And as always, say Allahumma barik, but this is literally how things happened. I didn't have a blueprint. I didn't know how I did it. I'm not saying I made it, and just work every single day until I figure things out. And if you want to do the same thing, just start today and figure things out. And the reason I said you need to start today is because you are already late. Smooth transition. But let's be real. we are already in 2025. 4 years ago, ChatGPT was launched in November 2021. That's 3.5 years ago. How many jobs were removed? How many things changed since then? It's only been 3.5 years. Imagine what's gonna happen 5 years from now. The opportunities are shrinking and the market is evolving. Day by day, it's becoming harder and harder to get into business as more people are doing it. And if you think you're gonna wait and do it later on, while the opportunities become smaller and smaller, you're just wasting your time. If you're thinking you're gonna plan ahead and maybe figure things out later on, what you're actually just gonna do is delay what's about to happen. It's just gonna get cooked later on. Whereas if you take the opportunities today, you're gonna secure yourself today. For the rest of your life, you'll be chilling. Now waiting one more week, one more month is only going to make it harder. And what you need to do is start a business today. And if you don't know how to do that, we help Muslims make money online. Now, just for the sake of social proof, here are a bunch of student results show you this thing actually works, alhamdulillah. Now, as always, as a disclaimer, you won't become a billionaire from this. You won't make $1 trillion in 10 seconds. It actually takes a lot of time. The program is expensive, but if you're interested and you want personal help starting your own business, I'll leave a link in the description. Someone will call you if you're qualified.